Welcome to the Strength for Life podcast, where smart strength training meets real life. We're Dr. Matt and Nicole Klingberg, founders of Village Fitness and Physical Therapy. Here, you'll learn what really works in the gym, at home, and for life. Welcome back to the Strength for Life podcast. Today on the pod, we're talking about what to eat before strength training. And we're specifically going to cover what to eat when you wake up and go right into your workout, what to eat when you have some time, like an hour or two before your workout, and what to eat if you're working out later in the day to fuel your workout so you feel good during and to optimize your ability to build muscle after the training session.
So the short answer to this question is you should eat something before you lift. There is, a lot of caveats that we're going to get into, but ideally for most people, you want to eat some protein and some carbs, ideally about 30 to 90 minutes before you lift. Again, we're going to dive in. This might not be the case for some people. However, we have found with our thousands of clients that we've trained that it will make your session better. You'll feel better. You'll have more focus. You'll be able to lift more weight. And the research is also clear for women, and especially women over 50, that they will have a better training session if they're not training fasted, which means they've had a meal before they come in to strength train.
So the big reason it matters, I think, is twofold. One is it helps you to feel better during the workout, which we'll get into. But probably even more importantly than that, it gives your body the protein, if you're eating some protein, the building blocks that you need to actually build muscle. And I know a lot of people will say like, hey, you just need your like protein shake right after your workout. That's like the optimal time. And there's a lot of research to show that may or may not be true. What the overwhelming amount of evidence says, it's much more about total protein intake throughout the day than specifically right after your workout session. So I think getting some protein in before your workout gives your body some of the building blocks it needs to actually start to construct the muscle that you're going to want to construct after the workout ends.
Yeah, because during strength training, right, you are breaking down muscle and, you're starting that pathway of muscle breakdown. And so you definitely, if you say you did a strength training workout and you were fasting all day, it's going to be harder for your body to build muscle because it is in that muscle breakdown phase. If say you didn't have any protein that day. So say you trained fasted the entire day and then you did a strength training workout, like it's going to be harder for your body to put muscle on than if you eat something. However, just like Matt said, if you, for whatever reason, can't eat something around your workout, whether before or after, it's more important that you get enough protein in the entire day than it is to just, be like, oh my gosh, I didn't hit that window, that ideal window. Do I think you'll feel better when you work out? Yes. Do I think you actually might lift more when you're in the gym? Yes. However, it's definitely not something worth stressing about if, say, for example, one day you're like, I didn't get a chance to eat and then I had to go straight to work and I didn't eat until a couple hours later. Like it's going to be fine. But you do need to prioritize protein throughout the day and you'll probably need to eat more later, which sometimes for some people is really uncomfortable. If you're like, I'm trying to get 100 grams of protein and you wait until dinner, it's going to be pretty hard and challenging to get that much protein in later in the day, which is why it's better to spread it out throughout the day.
Yep. I'd recommend like 15 to 25 grams of protein. So for reference, put that in food terms, an egg is like 6 grams of protein. So you'd have to have
like 3 eggs, at least
3 to 4 would get you over 15. So it's a lot of eggs. A chicken breast is 40 grams of protein, like an average size chicken breast. Jacob bar, which we just started selling, which is grass-fed whey protein powder and a bunch of other really great ingredients. Those are 20 grams.
20 grams of protein. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, that's typically what I will eat. I think Nicole eats those most days before her workout. It's easy. It tastes good. Usually like the last thing I want to do before I work out is prepare food. And so grabbing a bar is a really easy solution. So yeah, I think if you want to listen to nothing else in this podcast and just want the shortcut, it's like probably eat something like a Jacob bar with your cup of coffee to fuel your training, give your body the protein it needs. And then next, we're going to talk about carbs.
Yeah, it was interesting. Fun story. Yesterday, I trained someone who was trying to hit an overhead press PR. And I said, what are we going for today? And she's like, I'm going for a PR. And I was like, great.
Wow, she said it like that?
Yeah, she said it like that. She's super pumped. And I was like, awesome. What'd you have for breakfast? And she's like, just like you told me, I made sure I had eggs and I had an avocado and I had some veggies and I made sure that I had some like, she had a protein drink beforehand. And so she just was like, I'm going to do everything I can to optimize my chances of hitting this. She ate it about an hour before she came in. She came in for a workout and she hit her PR. And she was like, I think this is one of the reasons why I was hitting plateaus before, because I would come in and only had drank coffee. And, she works out at 9:15. And so she's like, by the time I get here, I think my energy is like pretty low. And so just being really intentional about fueling and getting enough protein as well as carbohydrates before she works out, she's like, I feel so much better. And she's been hitting PRs almost every week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so important. And I think I actually noticed when I was doing like a 3-day-a-week squat program that if I would, and I was at that time, I wasn't eating anything before I'd train. And I was still getting stronger. But I noticed that when I did a workout in the afternoon, my performance was so much better. It felt light and easy. And I think it had less to do with waking up more and probably more to do with just eating
Yeah.
and having some fuel on board.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about protein. And so we should probably dive into carbs, because I think a lot of people, they hear protein, they know I need to get protein in around meals, but they're less sure about carbohydrates. And carbohydrates, I think, have been somewhat demonized because there are, processed carbohydrates and things that are really not good for you. Like most processed foods have a lot of carbohydrates and they're really heavy in them. However, that being said, I do think carbohydrates can help fuel your workout, especially if it's a little bit more intense, like you're going for a PR, if it's longer. And the research does say typically for strength training that for 40 to 60 minute workouts, after an overnight fast, long-term strength and muscle gains actually look pretty similar between fasted and fed in studies. And I think that that's because it's a shorter session. That being said, the case for pre-training carbs gets stronger the longer the workout is. And I think the more intense, like if you're having a really intense strength training workout, there's definitely a case for, I think, some carbohydrates beforehand. But as the intensity goes up, the length of your workout session goes up, there's a stronger case for having more carbohydrates before you work out.
I think too, you should think about your goals. So if, let's say you're the person who's 100 pounds overweight, and that losing 100 pounds is the primary goal, and you're just trying to maintain your muscle as you do it, your priority should probably be to be eating less and maybe not even worrying about what to eat before a workout. Like there's a whole nother school of thought. In fact, we used to be really big on this like intermittent fasting thing, and who knows, maybe we'll go back to it at some point. Right now we're on the eating consistently train, like 3 meals a day, like normal people.
Yeah, but I don't think that we're snacking.
No snacking.
And we're not
very
snacking.
often.
And I think we're really intentional about just getting enough food, especially with the volume of training that we're doing. And I think that's another important caveat is that both of us have increased the amount of cardio that we're doing. Our strength training workouts have probably gotten a little bit more intense. And we're doing like 6 days of pretty high volume, high intensity. And so I think it's more important. And neither of us, or at least for me, I'm not at the point where I'm like, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to maintain what I have and build strength and muscle. And I think if that's your goal, not that you just eat whatever you want, but like, for example, maybe you add in a piece of homemade sourdough with your eggs in the morning versus just having, eggs and veggies. So I think there is a case.
Wait, which person?
If the person doesn't want to lose weight.
Oh, yeah.
You could add in that.
We're specifically talking about before the workout, though. And I think what I wanted to convey was if you're the person who's like, weight loss is my primary goal, it's overwhelmingly more important than building muscle at this stage due to its impact on my health. I think you probably shouldn't worry too much about what you're eating before your workout. You should be concerned about overall, what are you eating during the day? And are you eating whole foods first and foremost? And are you in a caloric deficit so that you're losing weight second?
And it's going to be easier to eat more. And if you're eating more protein.
Yeah. What I don't want is for that person who needs to lose 100 pounds to say like, oh man, I can't lose weight because I have to eat before my workout.
Yeah.
And then I'm eating this like a fourth meal and getting an extra 800 calories every day
Totally.
of mostly carbs and some protein.
Mhm.
And that's why I can't lose weight. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, consider your goals in the big scheme of things. And for most of our clients, I think that eating before a workout, like, 20 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, they're probably going to end up eating less throughout the rest of the day. And it'll be a net positive because it'll fuel their workout and make them perform better.
Mhm.
But again, consider your goals, what you want to accomplish.
Yeah. And I think especially if you're only strength training and then you're not doing a lot of movement outside of that, like say you're not getting a lot of steps in, you're not walking and you're not super active, you sit a lot of the day, like you're definitely going to need less carbohydrates. And so I would say focus just on getting the protein before your workout and after and not have carbohydrates. Like don't add in, the fruit or the piece of sourdough toast or whatever it is, because it will hinder your ability to lose weight if you're having more carbohydrates. And if you look at like a lot of our clients that want to lose weight, like we tell them, you really want to aim for 100 grams of carbohydrates or less per day. And so if you're, burning 50 of them first thing in the morning, like that just doesn't leave you that many for the rest of the day, which is fine. Like if you want to have more carbohydrates around your workout, that's a good thing. Your body will use them. But I do think that, you want to be more cognizant of your carbohydrate intake. So I would say protein though, go get it after your workout and maybe don't worry about it as much before, unless you feel significantly better if you get some protein before you work out.
Well, it's kind of the opposite of what we just said earlier.
For weight loss.
Oh, okay. For weight loss.
For weight loss. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm tracking
But if your primary goal is strength,
got it. I'm
then
tracking now.
You should eat some protein.
Okay.
Potentially some carbohydrates before.
All right, let's talk about fat. So fat is the third macronutrient. So you got protein, carbs, and fat. Fat takes a lot more to digest. It has a lot more energy in it per gram. So protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9. So over twice as much. Fat slows gastric emptying, meaning when you eat it, it just takes longer for your stomach and your digestive system to do its job. Which is a really bad idea when you're doing intense exercise, because during intense exercise, your body will shunt blood away from your internal organs like your stomach and push it more towards your muscles. This is one of the reasons why people get stomach aches when they eat things that they're either not used to or that are too heavy and then go exercise. It's because there's not as much blood going to your tum-tum and it's going to your bum if you're doing squats. Anyways, practical rule on timing. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt somewhere. No blood to the tum-tum that goes to the bum.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Speaking of bums, don't eat fat less than like 90 minutes before a training session. So just really keep the fat intake low. And I'm not saying you can't have a few grams of fat, and you might be like me. I'm like a super digester. I can eat just about anything at any point and go and exercise as long as I don't eat too much. Like if I have a big meal, I'm going to feel terrible when I go and try to exercise. But for the most part, I found for me, like I can eat nuts and chocolate and, peanut butter, avocado, and then go train. And it doesn't really bother me. It's a superpower. It's a gift and a curse. Anyways, so 2 hours before training, though, I think some fat can be a good idea. So the kind of dream, well, we'll save the training timing for a little bit later on. During training itself, skip it entirely.
Let's talk about the person who maybe can't, stomach a meal before they work out. I think we already covered this just a little bit. But I would say like, if you're the person who's like, I can't eat before I work out, like it makes me nauseous, I feel horrible. Don't eat anything.
Do it.
There are some creative ways. Like some people feel okay drinking something, so maybe they have some protein powder and some milk.
Okay, like if you're having good workouts and you feel okay, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. So I would say just skip it and then focus on refueling after your workout. And another reason that it's really important for women specifically to be more aware of maybe eating before they work out is that when you train fasted, it raises your cortisol more than when you've eaten something in the morning. And so a lot of women post-menopause have a cortisol problem. Their cortisol is too high. Their estrogen has decreased because they've gone through menopause. And so because of that, then this cortisol spike is fine. Like when you work out, your cortisol does go up. Like any type of stress will increase cortisol, and you want that actually to rise a little bit in the morning. The problem for women post-menopause is that it stays high so long. And then what happens is the body starts to be in a chronic state of stress, and it can't differentiate like your workout and your body just being stressed all the time, and cortisol stays high, which then causes your body to store more fat, which is why a lot of women will say like, oh, I started suddenly, I didn't change anything. I've worked out, I've eaten pretty much the same things. And all of a sudden I started to store more fat around my abdomen. And so because of that, eating specifically protein before your workout can be a really good idea to help your body not spike cortisol quite as high when you're working out. So if you don't work out, or if you don't eat before you work out, so you're fasted when you work out, cortisol can have a higher spike and stay increased and higher throughout the day for women post menopause. So again, recommendation would be try a little bit of protein before your workout so that it helps that cortisol to not rise quite as high and then to come back down more quickly after. It basically tells your body you don't need to be as stressed. You have some fuel. And then that should also help with your body not storing more belly fat. Again, if you still can't stomach it, don't do it. Get it after your workout. But that is something to be aware of for women that are post-menopause.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's get into some timing scenarios and what this actually looks like depending on when you work out in the day. So the first one is person that works out within like 15 to 30 minutes of waking up. They roll out of bed, they go to the gym, they're into their workout pretty quick. So like they have a 5 a.m. workout, they're up at 4:40, driving straight to the gym, jumping in. So what does this person eat before they train? Well, a few different options. Protein fortified coffee is one. So
put a scoop of protein powder in coffee.
In your coffee, mix it up. Maybe a splash of milk in there to get some carbs. Maybe a squeeze of honey.
A Jacob bar would be an easy one.
A Jacob bar is a really easy one. Yeah,
a beef stick.
20 grams of carbs, 20 grams of protein. By the way, Jamila just looked it up.
A beef stick would be good,
or a whole banana.
Beef stick is easy because it just gets you some protein.
It doesn't really have any carbs though.
Yeah, but gets you some protein in.
Yep. A slice of toast, a little bit of honey, maybe a small protein drink on the side. Really, it just depends on how much you can stomach and your goals. But I think real close to the workout, you're thinking not very much food because especially if you're jumping into a fairly intense training session relative to your abilities, you're going to push a lot of blood away from your stomach and you might not feel so great.
Especially when you get to that, 5-minute ski erg. The second scenario would be if you are up for at least 2 hours before you come in for your session. So this is probably people that work out more at like 7, 8, 9, 10 a.m. And the goal would be to have a meal that has some protein, some carbs, maybe not as much fat and fiber. Again, just so you're not spending a long time digesting that meal. So it's not still like sitting in your stomach when you come in. Some options for that would be Greek yogurt with some berries, maybe a little bit of granola.
We have that like every other day.
Yeah. 2 eggs, a piece of toast, fruit.
And we have that on the other days.
Yep. And sometimes some veggies if you can throw them in there. You could do oatmeal with protein powder stirred in.
We have
and
that
a little
occasionally,
banana.
maybe like every other week.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to say it because oatmeal wouldn't be my first choice for people. I would say eggs or Greek yogurt. If you had to pick one of the two, those would be our two go-to. And those are the ones that we have 95% of our breakfast. So oatmeal should be a more occasional just because it is a lot higher in carbohydrates. Cottage cheese is another really good option. Where you could put some fruit in there. You could have a small piece of toast. But those would just be some ideas for a meal if you're coming in or if you're going to be able to eat about 2 hours before you work out.
Now, for us, I think typically we're working out within 30 to 45 minutes of waking up. So we have a Jacob bar and I have coffee. And then we have breakfast after, like within 30 to 45 minutes of ending our workout. So at present, I don't do any sort of like protein shake very often after my workouts because I eat pretty quickly. So if you're the person who doesn't have an opportunity to eat after your workout, that's where you approach. This is not an after workout podcast. This is a before workout podcast. But if I was eating after the workout, if I was not going to eat after my workout, I would do some protein powder.
Right. The last scenario is if you are training in the evening, so maybe after work at like say 4:30 or 5:30. So your lunch was, obviously a few hours ago. And so this is kind of like afternoon snack window. Hopefully your blood sugar has lowered down because you haven't eaten in a few hours. And I would say this is something where you don't want to necessarily have like your full dinner, depending on like if you're coming in at 4:30 or 5:30, you probably don't want to eat a big meal again before, just like we talked about. But again, you could do something where you have a little bit of carbohydrates, a little bit of protein, again, a Jacob bar, beef stick, a small smoothie, or a protein drink, a little bit of Greek yogurt with some fruit. You could do an apple with peanut butter and some cheese. Again, I think it's just the idea is that you have a little bit of fuel before your workout so you feel better, perform better, but it's not necessary. Like if you're going to work out at 4:30 and then go home and eat dinner right away and you feel fine, then do it. This would only be, if you're like, I feel a little bit low in energy at this point in the day and I really notice a difference in my performance. So I think at the end of the day, you have to figure out what works for you and your timing and testing it. Like you should try, a workout where you do it fasted and then try that same workout, a couple days later or the next week, and hopefully with similar circumstances. So a similar amount of sleep, things like that. Obviously you can't always mimic that, and then see if you feel different doing that same workout. And notice, like if your body's like, I feel just as good after just drinking a cup of coffee and working out, great. But I think for most people, they'll feel better if they have a little bit of protein and maybe a little bit of carbs before they work out.
Yep. So for a long time, back in maybe 2020, 2021, I was fasting 3 days a week. And I would go from dinner on Sunday night and I wouldn't eat again until dinner Monday night, just coffee and water. And so I was working out those days. Like I would go for bike rides, usually an hour or less. I would strength train, again, like an hour or less. And I felt pretty good. I don't remember ever being like, man, I just feel terrible. And I think that the human body is very adaptable. Like it will adapt to the stressors you put it under. And if you train your body to exercise without food, it will get better at exercising without food. Mm-hmm. So you're not some fragile system that has to have, carbs and protein or else it doesn't work. I think what we're trying to talk about in this podcast is what's optimal, what's ideal for training. So that's kind of my final thought on this is your body is very capable of training at a pretty high level with no food, especially if you believe that you can. Like your mind is incredibly powerful. Mm-hmm. However, what we found personally and with clients is that they tend to do better when they eat a little bit before their workouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had so many people kind of come in and they'll have had a cup of coffee and, they're like, I just kind of feel sluggish. Often, it also is paired with, not sleeping as well. And so I think you can obviously you don't want to use food. It's like, oh, I didn't sleep well, so I'm just going to replace it with food. But say you didn't sleep as well, it could be something where it's like, I am going to be more intentional about eating something before I work out, knowing I might feel a little bit more sluggish or more tired today. And so if I have something that'll just kind of help my brain to wake up and be like, oh, it's time to do something. I'm more alert. And your blood sugar, it's going to rise slightly when you work out. And if you have some fuel, so if you have some glycogen and glucose from that food in your blood sugar, then it will be able to get more energy to your muscles more quickly. So you do have, some energy stored in your muscles. But that's where if you're feeling especially sluggish or if you're going to push really hard, having a little bit of carbohydrates in, your meal right before you work out can, I think, improve your performance. Like I've noticed a big difference because same thing. I used to just drink coffee with a little bit of cream. I'd go in, I'd work out, and I just kind of always felt sluggish. I was like, and probably because we have little kids and don't get enough sleep, and that's gotten better over time. But I did notice, man, because I don't personally don't do well if I have really any food before I work out. Like I kind of have to force myself to eat. But Now I do eat a Jacob bar. I usually try to eat it 10 to 15 minutes before I work out. And I do feel significantly better in my workouts. Like I don't have that same kind of like feeling that I had before. And maybe again, it's the mental component, but I don't think a lot of other things change. Like the time that I work out is pretty similar. My sleep is pretty similar, actually even maybe a little bit better now. But I do notice on the days when I have something beforehand, I notice I feel better in my workout than when I don't. So purely from a strength training standpoint, if you're trying to optimize strength, I would say eat before you work out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I ate about 8,000 calories a couple weekends ago.
8,000.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah, because of your century.
My century. Oh, you want to hear what I ate?
Yeah.
In the day?
Let's hear it. I do want to hear.
And I came home and I lost 2 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't recommend this for most people. Why?
I wouldn't either. Yeah. It's probably not smart. I rode my bike 100 miles in a day. And so we woke up and I had oatmeal and instant coffee in the hotel room. One of my buddies had brought a Ziploc bag of oatmeal for everybody. I think it had some like maple syrup in it. So just straight carbs. And then we started riding, and about 16 miles in, we stopped at the first rest stop, and all the rest stops had these like little sandwiches that were cut into quarters. And they were like honey and peanut butter and jelly, jelly and Nutella, honey and banana.
Because they know that carbohydrates help you instantly feel better, especially for some type of cardiovascular exercise.
Coca-Cola. I had some Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Yep.
Judging you right now.
Well, I needed caffeine and sugar to get through this ride. They're powerful drugs. What else? I'm just going to confess all my sins here on the pod, get them out. So I ate a bunch of that. And then we had another rest stop at like mile 32, had some pickle juice in addition to all the other things, potato chips. And then another rest stop at mile 60, ate even more, and had some, you're going to hate this, salmon. They had like these little salmon sandwiches with like smoked salmon.
Wow.
I know a lot of other people were like, oh, I can't do it. Can't do it.
But I told you, like, on a bike ride.
I can do anything that I put my mind to.
Wow.
Literally anything. There's a great Key and Peele sketch where he's pretending to be a basketball player. He says, you can do literally anything. Go off your house, jump off the roof. You can fly if you believe it. And then it cuts to him later having to apologize for saying that he didn't understand the definition of the word literally. Kids were jumping off their roofs.
Wow.
Anyways, funny story. And then I had a big dinner, and I was doing the math. I was like, I think I had like over 8,000 calories today.
Wow. But you got through it.
Got through it, finished. And I was strong at the end too. Like I felt good.
So
yeah.
What's our takeaway from that? Carbohydrates can help improve performance.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
especially long distance cardio.
Long distance cardio. I mean, the next day I went back to like my normal eating routine. If I eat like that every day, I'd be ginormous and not healthy, because that's way more. But I mean, when you're riding at a high intensity, like I probably burned 10,000 calories that day. I rode my bike for 7 hours straight.
Yeah. Since most people aren't going to be riding their bikes for 7 hours straight, they're probably going to be working out for an hour.
Well, we've just given them all the answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to share my story.
Please don't eat 8,000 calories in a day. I wouldn't try it unless you're doing some very physically intense exercise for extended periods of time. And again, try, playing around with a couple of different things, but try, maybe just one workout where you do 15 to 20 grams of protein, no carbohydrates. And then, maybe the next workout you try protein and a little bit of carbohydrates. And then you try workout with none, and play around with how your body feels. And then just pay attention to it.
What'd you eat before your High Rocks race?
Oh, that's a good question. What did I eat? Oh, so there wasn't very many options because we flew. And so all we could take on our flight was our backpack. And so I had to carry, like my shoes.
You fly ghetto Frontier Airlines, huh? Didn't you?
No, it was Spirit.
Oh, it's even worse.
Spirit. I know. It was
even
bad.
Worse.
It was
I'm
bad.
surprised they let you take a backpack.
But it was like a 40-minute flight. I have no kids. I'm like, I can do this.
You still have 3 kids.
Oh, 3. Did I say 4?
You said no kids.
Oh, I had no kids with me on the flight. Yeah. And no kids. Like, this is going to be so easy. Got my backpack and, had to have some like fuel to bring with me, but I brought Jacob bars. I also brought those honey stinger, like wafer things. And I did end up eating one of those before. But first we went down at 5 a.m. as soon as the Starbucks opened in the hotel we were staying in. And I got a latte and I got their like little egg bites.
Oh, okay.
So I had
option.
2 of those.
How far was that before your race?
We raced at 8:15 a.m. So it was like 3 hours before.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Maybe 2.5. Yeah. So I had a couple of egg bites and
That's a good time to have some protein.
Not at that point. I was like, I'm not hungry. Obviously, I was like kind of nervous. And so I just was like, I'm just going to eat it. So I forced it down. And then I drank my latte. And then we went back up to the hotel room and got dressed. And then we had to walk pretty far. We had to walk like over a mile to get, it was like, it's so weird. Vegas is like, all the hotels are like kind of connected. And so you can walk and everything's kind of connected inside because it gets so hot in Vegas. And so we had to walk in this like, really, really far, but inside. So we walked over to where we started. And I had, I think not quite a full Jacob bar because I couldn't quite stomach it. I also had a honey stinger, like half of a wafer. And what else did I have?
See, I had one of those wafers before my High Rocks race in December. And I did not like how it made my mouth feel.
Yeah, it's like a little dry.
It's just too dry.
It's a little dry,
I had the peanut butter one and I was like, I won't do this again. Yeah. I think when I do the High Rocks again in December, I'm going to have some like shot blocks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you want that kind of like gummy.
Yeah, that gummy. Yeah, the wafer was just a little too like dry. Too dry.
Yeah, a little too dry.
And then I think that was it. Again,
you didn't eat during? You didn't eat during.
You can't. I guess you could if you carried food on you.
Yeah, for sure. You didn't eat during your race in
either.
December, did you?
No, I didn't eat during my race. But I also, that was later in the day. So like I had a full breakfast that day, had some time to digest. Yeah. So anyway, so I had the 2 egg bites, most of a Jacob bar, half of a honey wafer. And then I think that was it. I was like, I should eat a little more. And then I was like, I can't do it. And my mouth felt a little bit dry. So tried to drink as much water as I could, but not too much because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom during the race. And then, they have at the aid station. So you in High Rocks, you run around and then you go in and they have a water station every time you go in to do one of the stations. And so I made a point after every station. I was like, I'm just going to get water every time because it just is like, it's an indoor environment. It's kind of dry. Your mouth gets kind of dry. And so I was like, I'm just going to get either a quick drink of water. And then about halfway through, they have this like, it doesn't taste that great, but they have some like orange sparkling drink. Essentially it has sugar in it and I don't know what it is. It's not soda, but it was something like similar, has electrolytes in it. And so I started to drink that. And I think I drank that like, and again, it's like a sip, but I had a sip of that after the next like 3 stations. Cause I was like, okay, I want to make sure I finish strong and I don't start to like, my energy starts to go down. And so I had that and then finished the race. But again, we only ran, the whole thing was only a little over an hour and 9 minutes. So it wasn't like we were going for extended periods of time, like an extended period of time. So I think it was like, I didn't want to overfuel and have my stomach feel heavy because we were running. I think I made the right choice.
Fuel sources for exercise, we probably should have covered this earlier, but like within the first few seconds of exercise, that's where you're using ATP. And that's why creatine is a really helpful supplement because it helps to fuel the recycling process of ADP, which is the byproduct of ATP when it gets used, and it pushes it back to ATP faster and allows you to output more force in the initial, 0 to 10 seconds of a high intensity movement. Then you start to get into anaerobic energy and then aerobic energy, which starts to pull from the sugar within your bloodstream and then the sugar in your muscles or the glycogen in your muscles, the glycogen in your liver. And you have I think 600 or so calories worth of energy in those tissues. And so you can definitely get through an hour of moderately intense exercise with what's in your bloodstream. And you're not going to need to go pull from other places or be depleted probably before an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyways.
Funny story too. You said shot blocks. I went on a mission trip. I wouldn't recommend this the mission trip was great. But eating, I was like, one of my biggest hesitations was going on the trip was like, what are we going to eat? And so I was there for 8 days, and it was right after the like tsunami.
It was in Haiti, right?
Yeah, it was in Haiti. And I was like, I don't know what's going to be there. Like there's literally like everything was just wiped out. And so I was like, what are we going to eat while we're there? And so I packed 2 like things of shot blocks to eat per day while I was on this mission trip. And I ate them every day. And I basically sustained I think I ate 1 meal a day.
That's way more embarrassing than what I did at the Century.
I think I ate 1 meal a day that they provided. And it was like, I tried not to think about it.
It was goat, right?
It was some animal.
Goat.
It was probably goat.
There.
I don't think they had any goats. I think a lot of them, there wasn't many when I was there.
When I went the year later.
But you went a year later. It was like right after. Like there wasn't very many animals. It was bad. And so it was like a mush of some type of, goat. I think, meat, veggie thing. It looked like slop. It was not good. Thanks. But I did eat it. I was like, I'm not gonna, and then I ate my shot blocks, and I just kept them throughout the day, and I would just eat one at a time. And then I got tired of shot blocks, and I don't know if I think I've maybe had 1 packet of shot blocks since that trip. Yeah. That was like 15 years ago. So wouldn't recommend that either.
No, I wouldn't either. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Hope this has been helpful to answer the very simple question of what should you eat before you strength train, with many stories at the end. Until next time, I'm Dr. Matt.
And I'm Nicole Klingler.
Thanks for listening.